Chapter 71 Blood Soul Pill, Blood Burning Arrow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A white light group immediately appeared at the location of the blood jade ginseng, flickering slightly, as if reminding Lu Xuan to pick it up. With a thought in Lu Xuan's mind, the white light group turned into countless light points and poured into his body, and a thought emerged in his mind. Harvest a blood jade ginseng plant and obtain a second-grade elixir, Xuan Pill. A bright red elixir appeared in Lu Xuan's palm. The elixir was about the size of the tip of a thumb. There were wisps of red lines on the surface, and one could feel the rich blood energy inside. Blood Soul Pills, a second-grade elixir, can quickly restore the monk's qi and blood after taking it, and can also increase the speed of the monk's qi and blood body refining techniques. First-grade blood jade ginseng, the light group reward is second-grade elixir, which is not bad. The rhizome of the blood jade ginseng he dug out varies in length and resembles blood red jade, so it is of good quality. Lu Xuan continued to inspect the remaining 19 plants, and soon found 2 more blood jade ginseng plants with full progress bars. Harvest a blood jade ginseng plant and obtain a second-grade elixir, Xuan Pill. The second blood jade ginseng strain was also of good quality, and I also received a second-grade blood poison pill. Harvest a blood jade ginseng plant and obtain the second-grade secret skill blood burning arrow. A thought flashed through Lu Xuan's mind, and immediately, a mysterious spell appeared in his sea of consciousness. All kinds of detailed information about how to perform the spell, precautions, practice methods, etc. poured into his mind. Blood burning arrow, a second-grade secret technique, uses the monk's own essence and blood to cultivate a blood arrow in the body, and shoots it from the mouth orifice. It is extremely fast and has strong lethality. The more essence and blood burned, the more powerful the blood arrow will be. Do not use it frequently. Second-grade secret skills are rare, but it seems to be the type that can kill 1,000 enemies and damage yourself by 800. Try not to use it unless absolutely necessary. Lu Xuan thought to himself, this blood-burning arrow secret technique is extremely powerful, and the attack method is unpredictable. Sohowever, the sequelae are relatively large, and it requires burning the essence and blood in the monk's body. However, this second-grade blood soul pill is very suitable for this secret technique. He planned not to take the initiative to practice this secret technique. After all, practicing it requires consuming the essence and blood in his body. It would be better to open the blood-burning arrow experience pack from the white light group to automatically increase the proficiency of the secret technique. As for the blood pills, they are collected for the time being in case of emergencies, although the remaining 17 blood jade ginseng plants were 89% mature and could be picked directly. Lu Xuan patiently left them in the spiritual soil. Only by maximizing the quality of spiritual plants can we get better rewards. The best evidence of this is the third-grade clean jade produced from the previously perfect quality Zhiyan pine nuts. The good quality blood jade ginseng produced 2 blood soul pills, and the superior quality blood jade ginseng produced the blood-burning arrow secret technique, which once again verified his conjecture. 3 days later, the 7 first-grade spiritual plants that Guanxi he helped to acquire were almost mature. Lu Xuan picked them directly, planning to grab a last handful to see if he could get some diseased spiritual plants. The remaining second-grade spiritual plant grows together with the first second-grade white-grained wood, and is still some time away from maturity. Just as he was packing up and getting ready to go out, his left shoulder suddenly sank slightly. He turned around and saw the cloud-walking lynx lying on his shoulder, with 4 white cloud-like paws firmly hooked on his clothes. Come down, come down. I'm going out for a while. You can take care of the house and bring you something delicious to eat. Lu Xuan said. The cloud-walking lynx remained motionless, its green eyes staring coldly ahead. Lu Xuan knew that the lynx cub was relying on him, so he had no choice but to let it lie on his shoulder. Fortunately, he was guarded by the second-grade Kirigakure, so he wasn't too worried. He told the grass puppet in the spiritual field and took the cloud-stepping lynx out. After not being here for a while, Lu Xuan felt that the market was a little livelier, and the faces of the monks who came and went were no longer as insecure as before. Lu Xuan took the cloud-walking lynx and walked around slowly. Suddenly, a red and yellow figure rushed towards him quickly. His expression remained unchanged. The red thread needle in his sleeves trembled slightly, ready to go. The red and yellow figure stopped just before touching Lu Xuan. Only then did Lu Xuan see the specific appearance of the figure, a strange-looking four-eyed monkey. It has red and yellow hair all over its body, its arms are extremely long, and there are ridges on both sides of the bright red nose bridge, which extends to the nostrils. It has 4 eyes, 2 red and 2 white pupils, and the weird nose bridge forms a special pattern that looks like a ghost. At this moment, this weird four-eyed monkey was circling around Lu Xuan, its pupils kept turning, and Lu Xuan seemed to see a look of longing in it. When the dog appeared in this weird monster, and the monks around him looked calm, Lu Xuan resisted the idea of taking action against the weird monkey. Only the cloud-walking lynx on the shoulder was howling, its back arched, and it looked like it was ready to attack at any time. "Xiaoxi, stop!" A clear female voice sounded, and before the voice fell, a girl in red rushed over quickly, like a moving flame. "Fellow Taoist, I'm very sorry that the spiritual beast disturbed you, fellow Taoist." The girl stopped, looked at Lu Xuan with a bright face, and said with a hint of apology, "It's out of the way." Lu Xuan responded calmly. The spiritual energy in his body was quietly moving. He probably sensed that the girl in red in front of him had deep spiritual power and was probably a high-level practitioner of qi. This four-eyed red mandrill is a spiritual beast that I grew up with. It is good at detecting and tracking evil spirits. Just now, it seems that it noticed that there is an aura that he likes on fellow Taoist, so he took the initiative to come over. The girl in red explained to Lu Xuan, paused, and then asked Lu Xuan with a bit of inquiry. "Have you, fellow Taoist, come into contact with any spiritual fruits that monsters love recently?" Hearing that the four-eyed monkey in front of him was good at detecting and tracking evil spirits, Lu Xuan immediately thought of what the neighbor monk said a few days ago, and guessed that the girl was most likely the sect monk invited by the Wang family. He had a thought in his mind and pretended to be thinking. "A spiritual fruit that monsters love? I don't remember it. It's just that I am the spiritual planter in the Baichao Hall in Fang City. I often deal with various spiritual plants in the hall on weekdays. I might come into contact with some spiritual fruits during this period." Traces of red cloud pine nuts flashed through Lu Xuan's mind. If there was anything in his body that the spiritual beast was interested in, it would most likely be the 5 red cloud pine nuts in the storage bag. After thinking about it, he had no intention of telling the truth to the girl in red, so he made up a random excuse to get rid of it, and by the way, he brought up Bai Keitang to raise the banner and build up his momentum. "I see." The girl in red did not doubt that she had it. She walked closer and took the arm of the four-eyed red mandrill. When she was about to leave, she noticed the cloud-walking lynx on Lu Xuan's shoulder. "Young Daoist, this cloud-walking lynx has magical eyes. If it is cultivated properly, it may develop some strange abilities." "Really? Thank you, fellow Taoist, for reminding me, then I will have to raise it well." Lu Xuan looked surprised and said gratefully that he had already understood the miraculousness of the cloud-stepping lynx through the real-time state, but he still had to do something superficial. After watching the girl in red leave with the four-eyed mandrill, the red thread needle in his sleeve gathered away its spiritual power and returned to peace. Chapter 72 Painting Cake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It wasn't until the figures of the girl in red and the four-eyed red mandrill completely disappeared from his eyes that Lu Xuan finally felt relieved. The disciples of the sect are indeed extraordinary. Whether it is the girl's own cultivation or the strange spiritual pet she has raised, she shows a completely different temperament from that of casual cultivators. Lu Xuan secretly sighed. The girl in red was about the same age as him. She was already at a high level in qi training. She could spot the four-eyed red mandrill that was tracking evil spirits and could clearly see her extraordinary qualities. There are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the world. The appearance of the girl in red instantly calmed down Lu Xuan, who was a little impetuous due to his continuous improvement in cultivation. As for the four-eyed red mandrill that might have been attracted by the red cloud pine nuts in his storage bag, Lu Xuan only made a guess and had no intention of actively offering the fruit. He brought the cloud-walking lynx to Bai Keitang, in the hall with a strong aroma of medicine. More than a dozen medicine boys were busy coming and going, and the old God, Guanxi leaned on a mahogany chair comfortably. Boy Lu, have you dealt with those diseased spiritual plants you brought back last time? How many have been cured this time? Seeing Lu Xuan, the thin old man asked lazily. 7 of the first-grade plants have been cured, 1 of the second-grade plants has died, and 1 is still being treated. Lu Xuan took out the 7 first-grade spiritual plants from the storage bag. The quality was all inferior or ordinary, so Guanxi he made some calculations and finally made up his mind and purchased 7 spiritual plants for a price of 150 spiritual stones. Thank you, Mr. He. Lu Xuan took the 150 spirit stones from the old man's hand with a smile on his face. Someday I will bring you some spirit animal meat and a pot of good spirit wine to comfort your old man. Spit. Manager he spat softly, laughed and cursed. You don't care about rabbits, but you still bring me spirit wine and spirit beast meat? You're just talking about these frivolous things. Ha! You still understand me. Lu Xuan's face had been tempered for a long time, and naturally he would not be penetrated so easily. He smiled and gave a thumbs up to Guanxi. The old man only talked about it, and the two of them had a good friendship. Lu Xuan earned a lot of spiritual stones from the purchase of diseased spiritual plants, and he, who was responsible for the matchmaking, also earned 60 or 70, which was equivalent to his usual 2 monthly income. He took out a cloth bag from underneath, which contained nearly 20 diseased spiritual plants. The roots of each plant were wrapped in a small group of spiritual soil, and there were still drops of spiritual rain on the leaves, trying his best to maintain the vitality of the spiritual plants. I heard that the forces in Fang City, dominated by the Wang family, invited sect disciples to come over to deal with the intrusion of evil spirits. I estimate that it will be difficult for spiritual plants to become diseased again in the future, so I made my own decision and helped you in Baikatang. 23 plants were found in the medicine garden. 20 first-grade disease-causing spiritual plants, and 3 second-grade plants. Thank you, Mr. He. It's you who are experienced and can do me a big favor in advance. Lu Xuan quickly thanked him and asked Manager He about the spiritual stones spent to acquire the spiritual plants. Including the remuneration paid to the old man, a total of more than 120 spiritual stones were spent. After hearing that the disciples of the sect appeared, he also had the idea of getting the last fortune. After all, in the future, there will not be a steady stream of diseased spiritual plants in the city like this time, and occasionally 1 or 2 will bring not much benefit. He gathered the 23 diseased spiritual plants and was about to leave Baikatang when the thin old man called out to him. Do you still remember the Miss He whom I brought you to meet before? She is the granddaughter of the alchemy master in Baichao Hall. Lu Xuan nodded. When he first established a cooperative relationship with Baichao Hall, Guanxi he took him to meet a beautiful girl. The girl had a distinguished status and managed the daily affairs of Baichao Hall. At that time, Guanxi he also applied for 100 firefly grass seeds and 20 blood jade ginseng spirit seeds for himself. She came to the hall today and chatted with you for a few words. She seemed to be deeply impressed by you. Why don't you go meet her and make her look familiar? Maybe she will sell you some rare spiritual seeds in the future. When he heard that the girl had the right to decide on rare spiritual species, Lu Xuan's eyes lit up when he originally wanted to refuse. Under the leadership of the old man, he went to the girl's location. As the two walked and talked, Lu Xuan learned that the girl's name was Yin Xingsha, that her cultivation was about to reach a high level of qi training, and that she was running the Baikatang in a prosperous manner. The foundation-building alchemy master behind her loved her very much. The two came to an elegant room. The old man greeted the elegant girl sitting in the middle and left early, leaving Lu Xuan alone. Yin Xingsha looked at Lu Xuan standing aside curiously. Because Lu Xuan was the same age as her, she had some impression of Lu Xuan. I remember that when Guanxi he took Lu Xuan to seek spiritual seed qualifications, Lu Xuan was just a small casual cultivator on the 2nd level of qi training. He was ordinary. If he hadn't had some talent in cultivating spiritual plants, the two would not have had any intersection at all. But now, Lu Xuan's cultivation has broken through to the 4th level of qi training, and he has become an intermediate Qi training monk. His talents in cultivating spiritual plants are becoming more and more terrifying. Not only can she continuously grow perfect quality spiritual plants, but she can also cure diseased spiritual plants that most spiritual planters are unable to do anything about. She even heard this name more than once in the family council. Lu Xuan, right? She looked at the young man in front of her with a natural expression, neither humble nor arrogant, with a hint of appreciation in her eyes. That's right. Lu Xuan replied with a smile. You have such a good talent for growing spiritual plants, do you really not want to consider joining Baichao Hall? As long as you enter Baichao Hall, you will be given the right to manage a medicine garden in the hall, and several spiritual planters inside will be completely obedient to your orders. At the same time, whether it's spiritual stones, magic weapons, exercises, or even Taoist companions, whatever you want, the hall can satisfy you. What do you think? That the girl's voice was clear and clear, but her tone contained great power of bewitchment. Lu Xuan lowered his head slightly, seeming to be thinking. After a while, he raised his head and said firmly. I'm sorry, fellow Daoist I'm used to being lazy and I can't bear the slightest restraint. I'd better follow the original cooperation model with Guitang. As long as your hall provides me spiritual seeds or spiritual plant seedlings in accordance with the agreement, the spiritual plants I cultivate will also be sold to Baikiatang first. Although the suggestion put forward by Yintong was very tempting, Lu Xuan weighed it repeatedly on the surface, but in fact he did not hesitate at all. The white light group is his biggest opportunity. It is okay to grow spiritual plants freely and alone. If he is absorbed into Baikiatang, he will be restricted and controlled everywhere, which will only increase many unnecessary risks. Since you insist on doing this, I won't force you any longer. The beautiful girl changed the topic. However, I think we can have more in-depth cooperation with each other. As long as you do your best to cultivate spiritual plants for the hall, you will be provided with a large number of opportunities to plant second-grade spiritual plants, and even third-grade spiritual plants can also be used for you. Try it. Lu Xuan raised his head and glanced at the beautiful girl Yintong, and saw on her face the familiar face that he had often seen in his previous life. There are two big characters written on the face, Huabing. Chapter 73 The Wind Rises. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As long as the hall can provide me with sufficient second and third grade spiritual seeds, then I will naturally cultivate spiritual plants wholeheartedly. Lu Xuan replied very realistically, when it comes to painting cakes, no one will be the same. As long as you can get the exact rare spiritual seed, it goes without saying that you have a nurturing attitude. The two talked for a while, and Lu Xuan found a reason to say goodbye and leave. Before leaving, he said goodbye to Guanshi and went to the casual cultivator market. There were many more monks in the market than before. Some of them were in a hurry and looked tired. It looked like they had just returned from the wilderness. Various monster materials appeared on the stalls, and many new varieties of spiritual plants and elixirs also appeared. While Lu Xuan was looking for unknown rare spiritual species, he listened intently to the discussions of the monks in the past. From the monks' words, he learned that a large number of casual cultivators who had gone to open up a new secret realm had just returned to Fengshe. I wonder if Brother Zhang is back this time, Lu Xuan muttered to himself, thinking of the Zhang Hong family who had taken good care of him. He originally wanted to go to Wanbao Tower to buy an alchemy furnace to prepare for the subsequent alchemy, but after hearing the news, he temporarily changed his route and headed to the gathering place for casual cultivators in the North District. After moving out of the North District, Lu Xuan rarely returned there. The only family he was familiar with was Zhang Hong's family. When Zhang Hong was out, it was inconvenient for him to go there, but Zhang Xiuyuan came to play with Lu Xuan a few times in the beginning. However, after evil spirits invaded and alienated monks appeared from time to time, his behavior was restricted by his mother Su Wan, and he has not been seen for several months. He bought several kilograms of spirit animal meat in the market and carried it outside the Zhang family's yard. There was a knock on the door, and the courtyard door opened a crack, revealing Zhang Xiuyuan's face with a curious expression. Uncle Lu, are you here? Dad. Mom. Uncle Lu is here. The moment he saw Lu Xuan, Zhang Xiuyuan, who had worked together to exterminate insects and forged a deep friendship, shouted in surprise. "Xiaoyuan, have you grown so tall?" After not seeing each other for a few months, Zhang Xiaoyuan suddenly grew taller and was already slightly over Lu Xuan's shoulders. He entered the courtyard with a smile and saw Zhang Hong and two people coming out. "Brother Zhang, sister-in-law, long time no see." Meeting acquaintances, Lu Xuan was happy and greeted with a smile. The same goes for both of them. "Brother Lu, I finally met you. When I came back, I heard that Xiaoyuan said you were moving away. I was still talking about it, but I didn't expect you to come." Zhang Hong grabbed Lu Xuan's arm and pulled him into the house enthusiastically. "Brother Zhang, what's wrong with your hand?" Lu Xuan noticed the abnormality in Zhang Hong's arms. The arms under the sleeves were obviously much smaller. Zhang Hong gave a bitter smile and rolled up his sleeves, revealing an arm that was as dry as an old tree. The flesh and blood of the arm were withered, and even a section of the arm showed gray bones. "I had bad luck in opening up the new secret realm this time. I encountered an evil spirit with a mysterious whereabouts, and if I wasn't careful, it sucked the flesh and blood of an arm. Fortunately, I saved my life and can see you again, little brother Lu. Can you recover? Is there anything I can do to help?" Lu Xuan asked with a heavy expression. "You should be able to fully recover after a period of rest. As for complete recovery, it's a bit difficult." Zhang Hong replied optimistically. Lu Xuan nodded, but unfortunately his new blood pill was mainly used to quickly restore qi and blood, and it had little effect on injuries that required muscle growth. "This time I went to reclaim the secret realm. Although I was seriously injured, it was a blessing in disguise. My cultivation level broke through to the 4th level of qi training. I originally thought that I could show off after meeting you, little brother Lu, but I didn't expect that you have been staying in Fengshe and your cultivation level has improved faster than mine, and you have reached the 4th level of qi training without knowing it." The two of them sat at the table, drinking tea and chatting. Su Wan and Zhang Xiaoyuan were preparing to cook in the kitchen, and the lynx walked slowly in the Zhang family's spiritual field. "The quality of the spiritual plants I planted recently is quite good, and I have established a certain cooperative relationship with Baichao Hall, so I have earned a lot of spiritual stones. Before, due to the limitation of spiritual power, I could not cultivate and plant too many spiritual plants. After learning from the painful experience, I used almost all the spiritual stones to buy elixirs to improve my cultivation, and I was able to break through to the 4th level of qi training in a short time." Lu Xuan casually said that anyway, whether it was the cultivation reward brought by the white light group or the improvement of cultivation after taking a large number of pills, they were all borrowed from foreign objects, so he found an excuse that was easier to accept. After having enough wine and food, Lu Xuan and Zhang Hong sat in the yard, while Zhang Xiaoyuan teased the cloud-walking lynx. The cloud-walking lynx had a cold expression and green eyes without any emotion. She ignored Zhang Xiaoyuan's teasing, but she kept a close distance with him. In the yard, the 2 eclipse trees that Lu Xuan left for them were planted on both sides. Their branches were lush and leafy, and there were already silver-white fruits that looked like crescent moons, looming among the dense leaves. "This time I came back from the new secret realm. I was lucky enough to save a life, so I have some different ideas." Zhang Hong started talking. "Before, I always thought that even if there were risks in going out to explore the secret realm, I would not run into it. I always dreamed of getting various opportunities. However, reality will always hit you head-on. As the new secret realm is explored deeper and deeper, the dangers that arise are also increasing. I witnessed with my own eyes an entire team in the distance being killed by evil spirits. More than a dozen monks, including several mid-level qi training monks, were easily killed by a sneak-level evil spirit like that." A trace of fear flashed in Zhang Hong's eyes, and he took a deep breath before he recovered. "Maybe in the future I will be like you, little brother Lu, and be an honest spiritual planter and live a stable life with my wife and children. It's just a good time to rest, recuperate, and think clearly about the future." Lu Xuan said that he did not advise Zhang Hong on what to do, and every choice could not be said to be right or wrong. "Brother Zhang, why don't you tell me about the situation in the secret realm? Although I don't want to go out and take risks, I still want Zhang to listen. Okay, it's always good to know more about evil spirits. The two of them were talking in a low voice, and the wind blew up in the courtyard at some point, making the branches and leaves of Eclipse Moon rustle. In the center of Fang City, Wangjia, on the top of a building dozens of feet high, the head of the Wang family overlooked the entire Linyangfang city without saying a word. Chongnan, what are the two sect companions you brought with you doing now? A handsome young man standing quietly behind him stepped forward and said respectfully. With the help of two senior brothers and sisters, the evil spirits and alienated monks in Fang City have been almost cleared away. However, the evil spirit at the evil level has not been found. I don't know whether it is because its concealment ability is too strong or it has returned to the secret realm. You don't have to worry about this, as long as you entertain them well. When the formation in the center of the secret realm is broken, find an opportunity to take them to the secret realm together, and use their power to clean out the evil spirits in the secret realm. Yes. The handsome young man responded in a deep voice. Above the tall building, the wind howled, and the green and black robes rustled in the wind. Chapter 74 Raw Bag. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As night fell, the stars hung low. Lu Xuan, slightly tipsy, walked on the bluestone path under the moonlight. The cloud-walking lynx was lying on his shoulder, slightly hunched over, constantly scanning the surroundings, its pair of green eyes extremely conspicuous in the night. Lu Xuan himself has not completely relaxed. The red thread needle and the second-grade sword energy, thousands of talismans are hidden in his sleeves. If anything goes wrong, they will be activated instantly. When the disciples of the sect entered Fang City, not only did the evil spirit disappear without a trace, but they also corrected the atmosphere of Sanxiufang City and returned home safely. When he came to the spiritual field in the backyard, Lu Xuan took a scoop of spiritual spring water in an extremely luxurious manner and splashed it on his face. Suddenly, he was so drunk that he sobered up. He came to the area where diseased spiritual plants were planted before and took out the 23 diseased spiritual plants that Guanxi he had found for him. Once fresh and twice ripe, the thick fog spread quickly, isolating this area from normal spiritual plants. Lu Xuan planted 23 diseased spiritual plants and focused his attention on them. Those that were terminally ill or had extremely high recovery conditions, he directly discarded and destroyed them on the spot. After an inventory, 14 of the 23 diseased spiritual plants could be saved, including 12 first-grade spiritual plants and 2 second-grade spiritual plants, in addition to the 2 second-grade spiritual plants cultivated in the yard. There are 4 second-grade spiritual plants in total. Lu Xuan made about 100 spiritual stones after the 2 previous purchases. There are 12 first-grade plants and 4 second-grade plants in the yard, which can bring hundreds of spiritual stones, which is really a lot of money. After taking care of the diseased spiritual plants, Lu Xuan inspected the spiritual fields. All the spiritual plants were in good condition and growing very well. There are no signs of being contaminated by turbid spiritual energy or mutated demonic insects. This made Lu Xuan miss the previous mutant spiritual plant a little bit. Once you make enough quick money, it will be difficult to go back to the days of earning spiritual stones safely. Lu Xuan laughed at himself and instantly understood what the female cultivator in Fengshe Gulan was doing. He worked so hard to cure diseased spiritual plants and earn spiritual stones, which can only be regarded as opportunistic, but he almost became addicted to it and couldn't extricate himself. As for the female cultivators in the hook bar, as long as they lie down on the bed, a lot of spiritual stones will fall into their pockets. If there are those who practice dual cultivation techniques, they can also increase their cultivation. Lu Xuan took a deep breath and adjusted his mentality. For me now, it's good to seize such an opportunity and earn a lot of spiritual stones. It's not a pity if I miss it. The right way is to cultivate spiritual plants steadily and obtain white light groups. In the area where the blood jade ginseng is, Lu Xuan went out for a long time, and they were entangled in 2s and 3s. Fortunately, it was only the running-in stage, and there was no in-depth communication, which would not affect the quality of the blood jade ginseng after it matures. Lu Xuan used the earth drawing technique and patiently separated them one by one. by the way, I discovered 4 mature blood jade ginseng plants with full progress bars. 2 were of good quality, 1 was of superior quality, and 1 was of perfect quality. After picking, 4 white light clusters appeared in their original positions, twinkling slightly and complementing the starlight. Lu Xuan picked them up one by one, countless light points poured into Lu Xuan's body, and then thoughts appeared in his mind: harvest a blood jade ginseng plant and obtain a second-grade elixir, Xuan pill. Asterisk 2.2 red pills appeared one after another in Lu Xuan's palm, and rich blood filled the surroundings of the pills. In addition to the ones prescribed before, there are now 4 blood pills. I don't know what effect 1 blood pill can have after using the secret technique of the blood-burning arrow. He put the 2 blood pills in his hand into a jade box and put them into the storage bag, harvest a blood jade ginseng plant and obtain the second-grade secret skill blood-burning arrow. The white light mass left by the high-quality blood jade ginseng revealed the secret technique of burning blood arrows. Countless information about this secret technique immediately appeared in Lu Xuan's mind: the principles of casting, the means of nourishing blood, and the timing of casting spells. As if he had practiced it hundreds of times in an instant, he had gained a deeper and more thorough understanding of the secret technique of the blood-burning arrow. It's good to have an experience pack. If you really want to practice this secret technique, you may have to spray water. No, you need to spray blood hundreds of times to achieve the effect of spitting blood at others. During this period, you have to continuously consume your own essence and blood, wasting a lot of time, and you have to keep using blood pills or other things to replenish your energy and blood. These can be perfectly solved with an experience package. A satisfied smile appeared on Lu Xuan's face, and he was eager to get a few more secret arts experience packs to make his mastery of the secret arts progress by leaps and bounds. The last white light group was left behind by the perfect quality blood jade ginseng. Previously, whether it was firefly grass or red cloud pine nuts, perfect quality spiritual plants were given generous rewards, which made Lu Xuan look forward to this last white light group. He gently picked up the light ball, which shattered into light spots all over the sky and poured into his body. Harvest a blood jade ginseng plant and obtain a 3rd-grade treasure raw material bag. A cloth bag appeared in his palm. The bag is about the size of a palm and is greenish-black in color. The body of the bag has mysterious and complex patterns, which is extremely hidden. There is a dark gold string strung at the mouth of the bag, which can shrink and open the bag. A thought flashed through Lu Xuan's mind, and he immediately learned the detailed information about the green and black bag in his hand. The life bag is a 3rd-grade auxiliary treasure. Spiritual beasts and spiritual plants can be placed inside, which can maintain the vitality of spiritual beasts or spiritual plants for a long time. The lower the level of the spiritual plant's spirit beast, the slower the life flow rate. If the level is higher than the 3rd level, the life flow rate can only be reduced to a certain extent. To simply understand, it is a storage bag specially used to store spiritual beasts or spiritual plants. Lu Xuan shook the green and black cloth bag in his hand, and his spiritual sense penetrated into it. The bag is quite large, with a radius of half a foot, and it's a mess inside. I don't know what it's made of. It is not easy to put fresh spiritual plants and spirit beasts into storage bags. They are usually put in directly after picking or hunting. The spiritual power in mature spiritual plants or spirit beast meat can only be retained for a period of time. Now, the green and black cloth bag in front of him solved his previous doubts. With this life bag, cloud-stepping lynx, grass puppet and many spiritual plants can be placed in it without worrying about the loss of life. Some time ago, when evil spirits began to break out in Linyang City, Lu Xuan also considered leaving the city and going elsewhere, but in the end, it ended without any problem and ended in nothing. Although there are many factors, such as the support of the Wang family and other big forces in Fengshe, no good new goals, not enough strength to go out and take risks, etc. But the main reason is that the spiritual plants in Lingtian cannot be taken away intact. In the spiritual field, there are several 2nd and 3rd-grade spiritual plants, each of which is of extremely high value. What's more, behind each 2nd and 3rd-grade spiritual plant is a white light group that contains rich rewards. If you leave Fengshe and only use the storage bag, you will not be able to stay alive for a long time. now with the raw bag, this problem is solved. According to the book friend's suggestion, when harvesting spiritual plants, the reward description will be changed from to. Wouldn't it look better? Chapter 75 Start the Pot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Spiritual plant beasts below the third level. Lu Xuan murmured to himself, scanning the spiritual field, and focused his eyes on the red-bearded carp resting in the spiritual spring pool with his eyes closed. The red-bearded carp is a low-grade spiritual beast, and Lu Xuan plans to use it for experiments first. The spiritual power entangled one of them, pulled it hard, and pulled it out of the spiritual spring pool. Before the red-bearded carp could react, Lu Xuan had already put it into the living bag. My spiritual sense penetrated into the green and black cloth bag, and I saw the red-bearded carp floating in the chaos, shaking its head and tail, and its two long thin red beards flying wildly. With a bang, the red-bearded carp flew out of the bag and hit the surface of the Youquan pond, waking up the other two. The three red-whiskered carps woke up from their sleep and looked at each other blankly, not knowing what happened. Little guy, come here. Lu Xuan summoned the blue-eyed cloud-walking lynx not far away who was eager to try. The lynx cub glanced at Lu Xuan coldly, and walked gracefully with its thick white cloud-like soles silently stepping on the ground. Put you in and give it a try. You'll come out soon. The cloud-stepping lynx nodded slightly. Lu Xuan put it into the raw bag and took it out after a while. Ouch! As soon as it landed, the cloud-stepping lynx began to cry softly. It could be seen that it was not in a very good mood at the moment, and its voice was much more delicate than usual. Lu Xuan's mind focused on it, and he instantly knew the reason. When the lynx was in the dimly lit raw bag, he recalled the previous experience of being captured and locked in a cage. Okay, don't worry. I will try to keep you outside when I go out. I won't put you in a bag unless absolutely necessary. Lu Xuan spoke to comfort him. Ouch! The lynx barked briskly, its voice unknowingly raised, but because the original voice was too rough and hoarse, it revealed a strong sense of dissonance. The night passed. The next day, just after dawn, Lu Xuan got up and came to the spiritual field where the blood jade ginseng was, and separated the remaining blood jade ginseng that were in small groups, hugging each other. He patrolled the spiritual field again, satisfying each spiritual plant in various ways according to its smallest needs. Finally, when he came to the edge of the Youquan pool, Lu Xuan couldn't help but let out a sigh. I saw a white light group the size of a fist floating quietly on the water, with different light and dark lights reflected in the ripples of the water. Is this a red-bearded carp entering the mature stage? Lu Xuan had a look of surprise on his face and said to himself, I scanned it with my mind and quickly focused on the mature red-bearded carp. Go and grab it from the Youquan pond. He pointed at the fattest red-bearded carp and said to the cloud-walking lynx. The lynx jumped up, gently stepped on the water with the soles of its hind feet, and grabbed the long thin red beard of the red-bearded carp. The red-bearded carp was involuntarily brought out of the water. Just when it thought it would fall into the Youquan pond as usual, a red needle pierced the fish's head and brought it into the kitchen. Put the pot up. The day it matures is the time to put it in the pot. It's time to repay me for eating so much of my spiritual rice. Lu Xuan rolled up his sleeves and picked up the white light group floating in the Youquan pool, harvest a red-bearded carp and obtain the second-grade magic weapon red scale armor. A thought emerged from his mind, and a red inner armor appeared in his hand. The surface of the inner armor was densely packed with scales like fish scales, which was extremely protective. Lu Xuan put the second-grade red scale armor into his storage bag and hurried to the kitchen. The cracked silver blade decomposed into 10 silver-white fragments, and in a few breaths, the scales of the newly dead red-whiskered carp were scraped clean. Lu Xuan gathered together 2 long thin red beards and numerous scales. The red-bearded carp is only a low-grade spiritual beast, and the long beard and scale materials on its body cannot be exchanged for many spiritual stones. However, Lu Xuan has never been in the habit of wasting it, so he put it all into his storage bag. After half an hour of busy work, a steaming pot of fresh fish was brought to the table. Lu Xuan picked up a piece, and immediately, a fresh and fragrant taste filled his throat. As soon as it entered my abdomen, I felt a ray of warm air flowing through my limbs and bones, making my whole body warm. You have been with me for so long, and you have some feelings for me. I really can't bear to part with you. Lu Xuan couldn't help but shed sad tears at the corner of his mouth. Thinking of the red-whiskered carp that was small when he first bought it, and how he had raised it to maturity little by little, he couldn't help but feel sad in his heart. He pinched a large piece of fish meat and turned it into an appetite. With delicious food in front of him, the cloud-stepping lynx still maintained a reserved and elegant posture, lying quietly at Lu Xuan's feet, but kept making squealing sounds to signal him to feed him more pieces of fish meat and fish bones. Lu Xuan couldn't bear the unintelligible howling sound of its clamps, and quickly stuffed a large piece of fish into its mouth. Sister. Xuan Chong knocked on the door gently and called softly. With a creak, the door opened, and a girl in red stuck out her head. Junior brother Wang, what's the matter? I went to the market to search and found several spiritual fruits that are suitable for senior sister's spirit beasts. Senior sister, please take them to see if Red Mandrill is interested. The corners of the handsome young man Xuan Chong's mouth were raised with a hint of smile, which made people feel like they were taking a breath of spring breeze. Thank you so much, junior brother Wang. The girl in red took the fruit plate handed over by Xuan Chong, entered the back room, and walked out after a while, looking helpless. In the fruit plate, there were several spiritual fruits with tooth marks on their surfaces, but they were only small gaps. It was obvious that the four-eyed red mandrill had little interest and no appetite for these spiritual fruits. It still doesn't work. Red mandrill has been eating spiritual fruits cultivated by the sect for a long time. He is particularly tricky and has extremely high requirements for the type and quality of spiritual fruits. Although there are varieties of these spiritual fruits that it can eat, the quality is only average. It won't eat them after taking a bite. The red mandrill is a strange beast, so naturally it doesn't like the wild fruits cultivated by ordinary spiritual planters in the city. I will ask for it on behalf of my senior sister and find the spiritual fruit it likes as soon as possible. Xuan Chong said with a smile that the girl in red in front of him was extremely talented and had an extraordinary background. The four-eyed red mandrill he raised was of great use, whether it was tracking evil spirits in the city or cultivating secret realms later, so he did his best to satisfy him. The various demands of one person and one beast. When you are so hungry that you can't stand it anymore, you will naturally eat everything. The girl in red looked at the four-eyed mandrill in the room and said with some embarrassment. Senior sister, don't take this to heart for now. There are many young talents from various major forces in Fang City. They have admired the sect disciples for a long time. If you want to make friends with senior brothers and sisters, why don't you come with me to relax? Good. The girl in red agreed without hesitation. The three of them came to a quiet garden with raised eaves and winding water drinking glasses. There were already more than a dozen young men and women waiting in the pavilion, all of them with extraordinary bearing. Yun, the granddaughter of Bai Keitang's foundation-building alchemy master, was also among them. She lowered her eyebrows and stood quietly in the corner. Chapter 76 Red Mandrill Begging for Pine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the pavilion, Xuan Chong introduced the identities of the two girls in red. This is fellow Taoist Youquan, the youngest son of the head of the Nye family. He is extremely talented. He is very likely to become a junior fellow disciple of the three of us. Who is this? Soon, Xuan Chong led the two of them to Yun. This is fellow Taoist Yun, the granddaughter of Master He, the foundation-building monk in Baichao Hall. She is in charge of the largest medicine hall in Fang City. She is also very talented and is about to break through to the 7th level of Qi training. He said softly to the girl in red. Yun looked respectful and said hello in a low voice. In Fangshi, she has a distinguished status, and many alchemists and spiritual plant masters in the Baichao Hall. She is in charge of all. Respect her. She has been practicing high-level skills since she was a child, and has been given a steady stream of elixirs to increase her cultivation. She has a beautiful appearance, excellent abilities and personality, and is extremely favored by the foundation-building alchemist, but in front of the girl in red, she still felt ashamed. Everything he was usually proud of was nothing compared to the girl in red in front of him. As far as she knew, the girl in red was 2 years younger than her, but she had already been a high-level Qi practitioner for a long time, and her cultivation was at the 9th level of Qi training or reaching perfection. You must know that each level of cultivation requires a lot of resources and time to accumulate. Many casual Qi practitioners with ordinary qualifications spend their entire lives wandering around in the low and middle levels of Qi training, and can never reach the high level of Qi training, let alone touch the threshold of foundation building. Not only her cultivation, but also her appearance and background, the girl in red can also crush her. She sighed softly in her heart, smiled and tried her best to blend in with the crowd. I heard from junior brother Chongan that Miss He is from Baichao Hall, that the girl in red didn't know when she came to her and asked curiously. Yes, hello, senior sister Su. He Yuntong nodded slightly restrainedly. Guitang is good at alchemy and grows many spiritual plants and spiritual herbs. I wonder if there are any spiritual fruits suitable for spiritual beasts to eat. This I don't quite understand. He Yuntong hesitated. There are many kinds of spiritual plants in the medicine garden. I rarely go there on weekdays. You have to ask the spiritual plant master in the hall for details. Last time when I was searching for traces of evil spirits in Fang City, I accidentally met a young man with some kind of spiritual fruit aura on his body. After asking, I learned that he was a spiritual planter in Baichao Hall, so I came over to ask Miss He. The girl in red smiled brightly. Young spiritual planters. There are indeed several young spiritual planters in the hall, but we still need to inquire who they are. Somehow, Lu Xian's figure flashed in He Yuntong's mind. Lu Xian's figure flashed past and came under the courtyard wall. On the wall of the bluestone courtyard, there was a strange monster squatting at the moment. It was the four-eyed red mandrill that he had seen in Fangshe before. I don't know how to find Lu Xian's location. In the courtyard, the cloud-walking link stared hard at the red mandrill on the courtyard wall with a pair of green pupils, and let out low roars from time to time. In the gray-black grass knots of the grass puppet, several thin ropes made of gray grass were twisted and swimming like gray snakes. It seemed that as soon as the red mandrill invaded the spiritual field, it would be trapped immediately. Qi mandrill didn't react at all, squatting on the wall of the courtyard very obediently, staring at Lu Xian with 4 eyes. Lu Xian was a little numb by the sight of its 4 weird eyes, and he didn't know how to deal with it for a while. It takes a lot of spiritual stones to maintain the second-grade fog-hidden formation, so when Lu Xian is at home during the day, he usually turns off the formation. And then this strange spiritual beast sneaks in. He scolded a few words, but the 4-eyed mandrill was unmoved, and Lu Xian was helpless. The red mandrill on the courtyard wall has an extraordinary origin. It is a spiritual beast raised by the girl in red who was born in the sect. Lu Xian is worried that if it is hurt, it will cause unnecessary trouble. Of course, the more important thing is that the red mandrill is quite magical and can easily detect and track evil figures. Lu Xian feels that he may not be able to defeat him. Come down. Seeing that the 4-eyed red mandrill was well-behaved and sensible, he curled his fingers at it. Qi mandrill grinned, and the ghostly pattern on his face suddenly became vivid. It jumped in front of Lu Xian and circled around him. The 4 pupils, 2 red and 2 white, were swiveling around with an impatient look, creating a strange contrast in the originally weird and inexplicable face. You want this? Lu Xian took out a red cloud pine nut from his storage bag. The last time he met the 4-eyed red mandrill in Fangshe, he guessed that what attracted the red mandrill was probably the residual breath of red cloud pine nut on his body. Sure enough, the moment he saw Qiyun Song Songzi, Commandrill's 4 pupils lit up at the same time, and his 2 extremely long red arms came together, holding them with both hands, making constant begging movements. This red mandrill is much more polite than the famous mountain monkey I saw in my previous life. Lu Xian sighed and threw the red cloud pine nuts in his hand to the 4-eyed red mandrill. Red mandrill quickly caught it and couldn't wait to tear open the fish scale-like pine cone covering the outside, revealing the crystal-clear pine nuts inside. He stretched out his furry fingers to break off a piece and put it into his mouth. A look of great satisfaction soon appeared on his face, as if he had tasted something delicious. Lu Xian watched with a smile as it ate one pine nut after another. To eat such delicious food, looking at your eagerness, you should know that it was hard-won, right? That when he was almost halfway through eating, he suddenly asked. The red mandrill's intelligence was higher than he expected. When it heard Lu Xuan's question, it paused in its movements, its 4 pupils flashed with a hint of agility, and it nodded quickly. I have spent countless efforts and painstaking efforts to cultivate these high-quality red pine nuts. I originally wanted to sell them at a good price, but since I met you, it is fate to give them to you. It's just that you are from a sect, and your master is a proud man. You shouldn't eat my spiritual fruit in vain, right? Lu Xuan tossed a spiritual stone in his hand and said casually. Mandrill tilted his head, a trace of human thought flashed in his eyes, and then pointed at the spirit stone in Lu Xuan's hand, roared to signal Lu Xuan to wait for him for a while, put down half of the red cloud pine nuts in his hand, and fled quickly. In less than 2 seconds, it returned to Lu Xuan's courtyard with the girl in red. Fellow Taoist, we meet again. The girl in red smiled. My spiritual pet is quite naughty. He secretly came to Taoist fellow's house without telling me. Please forgive me if I disturbed fellow Taoist. On the way here, I had already communicated with it, and I knew that it had taken a high-quality spiritual fruit from a fellow Taoist. It is not easy for you to grow spiritual plants, and I will definitely give you adequate compensation. The girl in red's spiritual power passed by, and the remaining half of the red cloud pine nuts floated into the palm of her hand. It's a top-quality spiritual fruit. No wonder Red Mandrill never forgets it. Let's do this. I will give you a first-grade magic weapon and 3 Yuan building pills as compensation, fellow Taoist. What do you think, fellow Taoist? Chapter 77 The Method of Condensing Spiritual Seeds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As expected of a disciple of the sect, he is generous in his actions. After hearing the compensation provided by the girl in red, Lu Xuan sighed secretly in his heart. Although the red cloud pine nuts he gave to the 4-eyed mandrill were of high quality, they were much more valuable than ordinary pine nuts, but no matter how high it is only a first-grade spiritual plant material. The price is cheaper than the same first-grade magic weapon and elixir. You can earn a lot of spiritual stones just by exchanging the first-grade magic weapon, not to mention the 3 first-grade cultivation materials. Yuan Dan is gone, however, he has no interest in magic weapons and elixirs. There are many first- and second-grade spiritual plants in the spiritual field. If a mature first-grade spiritual plant grows, the reward value will not be lower than a first-grade magic weapon. As for the Peiyuan pill, he already has 2 bottles in his storage bag. Naturally lack of interest. Although the magical weapons and elixirs compensated by fellow Taoists are expensive, they are not what I need at the moment. Lu Xuan declined. I don't like to practice, and I am obsessed with cultivating spiritual plants. It would be best if my Taoist friends have suitable spiritual seeds, or techniques for cultivating spiritual plants, relevant classics, etc. Spiritual seed. Magic. The girl in red lowered her head in thought. She only practiced martial arts and magic and had never been involved in spiritual cultivation. How could she have spiritual seeds in her body? The spells he practiced were all focused on killing, and he never thought of practicing low-level spells that could cultivate spiritual plants. Yes. She took out a dark yellow book from her storage bag. This book is Common Spiritual Plants and Their Treatment Methods. It records more than 100 low-grade spiritual plants that are common in the practice world, as well as the corresponding picking techniques, storage methods, etc. I was afraid that if I missed any elixir, I kept it in the storage bag. I didn't expect it to come in handy today. The girl in red stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. Seeing Lu Xuan's confused expression, she continued. This is just some basic common sense. It does not involve any sect secrets. You can feel free to read it. Okay, thank you so much, fellow Taoist. Lu Xuan hurriedly responded. He was born as a casual cultivator and had almost no foundation in spiritual cultivation. His ability to reach this stage depends entirely on his control over the real-time state of the spiritual cultivation in the spiritual field and the additional rewards of the white light group. This spiritual plant book is only the most basic thing for the sect monks, but it is particularly important for Lu Xuan, as it can make up for the lack of relevant knowledge. The value of the dark yellow book cannot be directly measured with spiritual stones, but one thing that is certain is that it is much greater than the red cloud pine nut that Lu Xuan took out. After Lu Xuan took the dark yellow book, the girl in red felt relieved. She glared at the four-eyed Mandrill who sneaked out to beg for spiritual fruits. While chatting with Lu Xuan, she looked around. She was a little curious about Lu Xuan, who could grow high-quality red cloud pine nuts. A thick white mist spread over the spiritual field in the backyard, blocking the exploration of red-clothed spiritual consciousness. Friend Daoist Lu, your thick fog formation is not simple, it can actually block my spiritual consciousness. She casually scanned the Kirigakure, then took back her spiritual consciousness. After all, the master of the spiritual field, Lu Xuan, was right in front of her, so she couldn't be too polite. I have no choice. My cultivation level is average, and all my wealth is in Lingtian. In order to protect my family fortune, I had to buy this second-grade defensive formation. Furthermore, the evil spirits broke out in the market some time ago, which was also one of the main reasons why I had to buy it. Lu Xuan said lightly. This is the case in the market. The safety of monks cannot be well guaranteed. But fellow Daoist Lu has the means to cultivate spiritual plants. Maybe he can try to enter the sect. The sect can provide you with an environment where you can plant with peace of mind. There are many types of spiritual species, and spiritual veins with rich spiritual energy. Those large sects at the forefront even have caves and blessed lands, which are extremely suitable for spiritual planters like Lu Daoyu. I'm just a casual cultivator with ordinary qualifications. How could any sect take me in? Lu Xuan said mockingly to himself. He couldn't help but be fascinated by what the girl in red said. There are only a few foundation-building monks in Sanxiufang City, and the cultivation of third-grade spiritual plants has almost reached Lu Xuan's limit. Using conventional methods, he would probably only be able to grow Qingmiao spiritual tea similar to that provided by Keatang. And higher-grade spiritual seeds would need to be found by himself. Only in the sect can one have the opportunity to obtain rare spiritual seeds and plant higher-grade spiritual plants. He took advantage of the opportunity to learn about the method of joining the sect from the girl in red. After the two talked, the girl in red left with a satisfied four-eyed Mandrill. Lu Xuan didn't take out the remaining 4 red cloud pine nuts in his storage bag. The girl didn't have what he wanted, so he planned to sell them at a price to see if he could get them later. The dark yellow books were put into the storage bag. Lu Xuan inspected the spiritual field and carefully cultivated spiritual plants. Boy Lu. Are you at home? Outside the courtyard gate, Guanshi's loud voice suddenly came. Come on, come on. What kind of wind has brought you here? A smile appeared on Lu Xuan's face and he replied loudly. He quickly stepped forward to open the door and the thin old man entered the courtyard. What surprised Lu Xuan was that behind Guanshi he was actually the granddaughter of the foundation establishment alchemist, He Tong. Fellow Daoist he. He greeted aloud. Friend Lu Dao, I came here today to ask for help. He Tong said with a smile, and Lu Xuan noticed that her attitude was much more sincere and enthusiastic than the 2 times he had seen before. I wonder if there's anything I can do to help my fellow Taoist. Boy Lu, have you cultivated a red pine tree of good quality? The old man next to him put down the spiritual tea in his hand and asked. There is such a thing. Lu Xuan admitted. Do you still have good or high-quality pine nuts in your hands? He Tong asked quickly, with a somewhat expectant look on his face. After the girl in red returned to the Wang garden and talked with everyone, she learned that the girl had obtained a red cloud pine nut from Lu Xuan. Keeping this in mind, when he returned to Baichao Hall, he asked manager He to bring him to Lu Xuan's house, hoping to get another red cloud pine nut from him and give it to the girl in red to build friendship. Seeing her expression, Lu Xuan thought for a moment and took out 3 red cloud pine nuts from the storage bag. 2 of them are of high quality, but this one is of perfect quality. He Yintong's eyes widened and he said in surprise. The thin old man on the side looked at Lu Xuan, with a look of relief on his face. What do you want? He Yintong quickly calmed down his emotions, looked at Lu Xuan, and asked softly, Lu Xuan took out 3 Qiyun pine nuts at once, 2 of which were of high quality and 1 of which was perfect. She, who had been in charge of Bai Keitang for a long time, immediately understood that Lu Xuan wanted to make a deal with her. I want 2 methods of condensing spiritual seeds. One is the spirit seed of firefly grass, and the other can be any spiritual species. Lu Xuan said in a deep voice with a firm tone, the girl in red can't get anything related to spiritual plants, but that's not necessarily the case here with Yuntong. According to his understanding, Bai Keitang mastered many methods of condensing spiritual seeds, and this was something he had longed for and dreamed of. During the double period, I would like to ask for a monthly ticket. Chapter 78 The Foundation of One's Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Impossible. Hearing Lu Xuan's request, Yuntong subconsciously refused. The method of condensing spiritual seeds, like the elixir recipe, has extremely precious value in Bai Keitang and has never been spread to the outside world. You can change it to something else. If it must be a spiritual plant, when the hall needs to cultivate new second-grade spiritual plants, I can make the decision to give you more cultivation qualifications. Lu Xuan shook his head. He wanted the second-grade spiritual plant, but with the ability to cultivate high-grade spiritual plants, it would come to him naturally. Compared with giving him a fish, he was more looking forward to teaching him how to fish. Bai Keitang can condense so many types of first and second-grade spiritual seeds. I only want one of the first-grade spiritual plants, so my appetite is already small. As for the method of condensing the spirit seeds of the firefly grass, it's just incidental. Lingyian grass is the most common basic material in Bai Keitang. It is cultivated by many spiritual planters. Even if I plant more, it will not have any impact on the entire market. Lu Xuan said nonchalantly. In fact, he valued the method of condensing the spiritual seeds of Lingyian grass more. After all, he only found that it could bring cultivation rewards. It would be best if he could master the seeding method by himself. What's more, of the 3 red cloud pine nuts in my hand, 2 of them are of high quality, and 1 is of perfect quality that is rare among thousands. If fellow Daoist he dedicates it to senior sister Su from the Lishan sect to satisfy her need for a spiritual pet, he will definitely leave a deep impression on her and establish a deep relationship with her. Senior sister Su comes from a well-known and upright family. Regardless of her cultivation or background, she is a first-class existence. Needless to say, the benefits of being friends with her. Lu Xuan's tone was full of confusion. The fact that he had cultivated high-quality red cloud pine nuts was not leaked to anyone. After the girl in red left, Yuntong of Bai Keitang followed closely and wanted the remaining pine nuts in his hand as soon as he opened his mouth. Lu Xuan I quickly figured out the origin. Hearing Lu Xuan's words, Yuntong's face was filled with uncertainty. She admitted that there was some truth in what Lu Xuan said. Even if a casual spiritual planter knew how to condense spiritual seeds, the number of spiritual plants he could plant was extremely limited, and I don't know when I will encounter an opportunity like this to please the disciples of the sect next time. Okay, I agree to your terms. She hesitated again and again, but finally agreed. However, I have to make an oath not to spread the method of condensing spiritual seeds to the outside world without the permission of Bai Keitang. The spiritual seeds formed can only be cultivated by oneself and cannot be used for profit. This is as it should be. Lu Xuan readily agreed. These 2 conditions were nothing to him. Yuntong took out a piece of talisman paper with a white background and black lines from the storage bag, and used her spiritual power. On the talisman paper, the tadpole-like black lines flowed instantly, forming 3 lines of small black characters under the control of her spiritual consciousness. Immediately, the talisman paper bent and changed, forming a paper bird. Spreading his wings, he soared into the sky and disappeared within a few breaths. After a while, a middle-aged alchemist followed the bird formed from the talisman and found the location of Lu Xuan's courtyard. Master Nephew I brought you the jade slip that you asked for. It has 2 methods of condensing spiritual seeds engraved on it. One is the first-grade blood jade ginseng spiritual seed, and the other is the non-grade spiritual firefly grass spiritual seed. The middle-aged alchemist handed Xuan a blue jade slip, lowered his head and said, "Thank you for your hard work, Uncle Zhang." Xuan nodded and took the jade slip. The middle-aged alchemist withdrew with great foresight. This is a jade slip for transmitting power. The method of condensing spiritual seeds you need has been recorded in it. Just put it on your forehead, and the corresponding knowledge will be transferred to your mind. After the absorption is completed, the jade slip will lose its effect and will be destroyed by itself. After you take the oath, you can trade immediately. Lu Xuan made the inner demon's oath, took the jade slip from Xuan, and handed 3 red cloud pine nuts into her hand. After the deal was reached, Xuan and manager he didn't stay long and left first. Lu Xuan came to the room and carefully looked at the green jade slip in his hand, feeling filled with emotion. As the level of life increases, it is difficult for monks to give birth to blood offspring, and the same is true for spiritual plants. Spirit seeds produced by spiritual plants in the wild are relatively rare. They need to be condensed by chance in a specific environment after the spiritual plants mature. After generations of observation, exploration, and experiments, spiritual planters have slowly summarized the method of condensing spiritual seeds, which can condense spiritual seeds in a targeted and quantitative manner, and plant and cultivate spiritual plants on a large scale. Lu Xuan was just a casual cultivator before. He gradually changed his destiny after receiving the white light group by luck. He had never systematically studied the knowledge of spiritual planting, let alone practiced the methods of condensing spiritual seeds that the sects and families tightly held in their hands. This is the foundation of a spiritual planter's identity. He sighed, put the green jade slip against his forehead, and penetrated it with his spiritual sense. Suddenly, a large flow of information burst into his sea of consciousness like a river bursting its banks. The jade slip in his hand shattered silently, turning into dozens of pieces of jade and falling to the ground, while passed before he digested and absorbed the information that appeared in his mind, the timing, techniques, special tips, etc. of condensing the spiritual species flew through his mind as if they were watching a lantern. With the method of condensing the firefly grass spirit seed, if you leave Fengshe and go to a new place in the future, you don't have to worry about not being able to find the firefly grass spirit seed. Lu Xuan secretly thought about it and decided to wait for this batch of 120 fireflies to mature before leaving some seeds for emergencies. As for the first-grade blood jade ginseng spirit seed, it appears to be of higher value than the firefly grass spirit seed, but in fact it is just an addition to Lu Xuan, and other first-grade spirit seeds can replace it. After absorbing the knowledge in his mind, Lu Xuan took out the book Common Spiritual Plants and their treatment methods that he got from the girl in red. With the help of dim candlelight, he concentrated on flipping through the books in his hands. The more than 100 kinds of spiritual plants and their picking and storage methods recorded in the classics are of great use to him now, and he can build a spiritual planter system in a systematic way. The various and bizarre methods of harvesting and storing spiritual plants made him eye-opening. For a moment, I completely forgot the passage of time and was immersed in the ocean of knowledge. On the bed, the cloud-walking lynx curled up in a ball and seemed to have fallen into a deep sleep. But whenever there was a slight movement when Lu Xuan turned the book, the 2 tufts of gray hair on its pointed ears would tremble slightly, paying great attention to Lu Xuan's every move. Waiting until midnight, Lu Xuan roughly read through it and closed his eyes to rest. Then the 2 tufts of hair on the tips of the lynx's ears naturally pulled down and became still. Outside the house, the spiritual field was covered with thick white mist, and the grass puppet walked tirelessly among the ridges of the spiritual field with its long and slender legs. Chapter 79 Beast Spirit Pill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early the next morning, Lu Xuan, who had obtained the method of condensing spiritual seeds, felt refreshed and happy when he woke up. After taking a walk in the spiritual field, my mood became even better. In the area where the blood jade ginseng was located, he found that the progress bars below the 4 blood jade ginseng plants were full and had entered the fully mature stage. Among the 4 blood jade ginseng strains, 2 are of good quality and the other 2 are of superior quality. Blood jade ginseng is a first-grade spiritual plant. It is more difficult to plant and requires higher concentration and purity of spiritual energy than firefly grass. The probability of perfect quality will only be lower, so Lu Xuan is not disappointed. where the spiritual plant was originally planted. After the blood jade ginseng was picked, for slightly flashing white light clusters naturally appeared. Lu Xuan picked up the 4 white light groups one by one, harvest a blood jade ginseng plant and obtain a second-grade elixir, Zhiyan Pill. Asterisk 2.2 thoughts flashed through Lu Xuan's mind. Immediately afterwards, 2 round pills exuding rich blood energy appeared in Lu Xuan's hands, including the previous 4 pills. Lu Xuan has obtained a total of 6 second-grade blood pills. The other 2 high-quality blood jade ginsengs brought the second-grade secret skill blood-burning arrows as expected. Harvest a blood jade ginseng plant and obtain the second-grade secret skill blood-burning arrow. Asterisk 2. As thoughts flashed through his mind, many things about the secret technique of the burning blood arrows suddenly came to his mind. 2 secret skill experience packs upgraded his control of the secret skill from the previous proficiency to the mastery level, as if he had used this secret skill to engage in hundreds of life-and-death battles with monks. He has a deeper and more thorough understanding of many details of the blood-burning arrow. Although it has not been formally displayed, he has a kind of confidence that it can operate freely. Although he has obtained the method of condensing the blood jade ginseng spiritual seeds, Lu Xuan has not yet completely digested them, so he is not in a hurry to plant seeds. He plans to keep the last 2 blood jade ginseng plants and not pick them when they are mature. It is to condense spiritual seeds. He separated the remaining 9 tangled blood jade ginseng plants and inspected the remaining spiritual plants in the spiritual field. After being carefully cultivated by him during this period, 120 fireflies grew gratifyingly and were lush green, with subtle fluorescence appearing on their slender leaves, glowing with vitality. When the first batch of Lingyianko matures and absorbs a few light groups with cultivation rewards, coupled with the hard training during this period, we should be able to break through to the 7th level of Qi training immediately. Lu Xuan thought without shame. In the days without Lingyian grass, his cultivation seemed to have stagnated, making no progress. There was only a thin line between him and the 7th level of Qi training, but there was no way to break through that layer of membrane. After inspecting the many spiritual plants in the spiritual field, on the way, the squinty-eyed young man named Yu Jie came over and brought Lu Xuan a bottle of green anaconda blood that was still warm. Lu Xuan paid Yu Jie 10 spiritual stones and told him to be careful. The young man smiled and showed his fangs, and was very grateful to Lu Xuan. After the boy left, Lu Xuan came to the spiritual field area where the dragon vines were planted, and opened the cork of the bottle. Immediately, a mixture of red and green water python blood flowed out of the bottle and poured water on the dragon vines. Red and green patterns appear on the vines, and there is a different kind of coquettishness against the dark black vines. It is winding and twisting, with strong knots and slowly squirming, like a strange black snake dormant in the mist, waiting for opportunities to move. After being nourished by a bottle of green anaconda blood, the dragon vine has grown about 2 inches longer than before. The new growth is slightly delicate, which seems a bit inconsistent at first glance. After nourishing the dragon vines, Lu Xuan came to the Lingquan pool and planned to scoop some Lingquan water to pour on the 3 second-grade Qingmiao Lingcha plants. As soon as he got closer, he discovered the white light group floating in the Lingquan pool with the water waves. Rise. He only said the word, get up, and the cloud-stepping lynx, which was lying on the edge of the Lingquan pond teasing the remaining 2 red-whiskered carp, instantly pulled them out. Your reaction is quite fast. Can't you wait to eat fish? Lu Xuan was startled by his action. The red thread needle shot out from his sleeve, penetrated the head of the mature red-bearded carp, and brought it into the kitchen. The remaining red-bearded carp fell into the Lingquan pond in fear, causing a large splash of water. The ripples of the water caused the pure snow lotus in the center of the Lingquan pond to tremble. The buds in the snow-white lotus leaves quietly bloomed, and you can vaguely see the layers of white and tender petals inside. 2 long thin red beards were swinging uneasily in the Lingquan pool, trying hard to squeeze their plump body behind Jingzuelian. Lu Xuan fished out the white light ball in the water, and the light ball turned into countless tiny light spots and poured into his body. Harvest a red-bearded carp and obtain a second-grade elixir, the beast spirit pill. Immediately, a thought flashed through his mind, and a gray-black pill appeared in his hand. Beast Spirit Pill, a second-grade elixir, is made from a variety of low-grade spiritual herbs that are loved by most monsters. It contains rich spiritual power and can be used to raise spirit beasts and promote their growth. Spiritual beasts specialize in elixirs. It seems that this is an advantage for you, little guy. Lu Xuan glanced at the cloud-walking lynx that was going to the kitchen with its stubby tail wagging, and sighed. He first put away the beast spirit pill, went to the kitchen, peeled off the long beards and scales from the red-bearded carp, cleaned them, and made a plate of braised red-bearded carp, still incredibly delicious. Last time it was boiled, this time it was braised. Next time I can try steaming. The 3 methods, exactly 3 red-bearded carps, all have a beautiful and bright stomach. Lu Xuan had a full meal and sighed in his heart. Come here and give you some after-dinner snacks. He summoned the cloud-stepping lynx and stuffed the beast spirit pill into its mouth. Not long after taking it, the cloud-walking lynx's aura suddenly rose, its size increased, its hair became blacker and shinier, and the 4 white clouds under its feet were pure white. Lu Xuan tested it and found that the lynx's speed was a bit faster than before. At the same time, the claws hidden in the thick soles of its feet were sharper, leaving deep marks on the stone wall easily. Ouch! Sensing the increase in his strength, the cloud-stepping lynx could not restrain his inner joy and roared at Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan was keenly aware that the cry of the green-eyed lynx was more rough and hoarse than before, which was extremely inconsistent with the lynx's good looks. That's a good call. Don't call me again next time. Lu Xuan said helplessly to the cloud-walking lynx. Ouch! The cloud-stepping lynx tried its best to call out a clipped sound, as if to prove to Lu Xuan that his call was not unpleasant. When Lu Xuan heard its pretentious howling, he couldn't help but pull the gray hair on the tip of its ears. The cloud-walking lynx raised its head, and a pair of green pupils swept across Lu Xuan's face coldly. He walked straight to the edge of the Youquan pool and stared indifferently at the only remaining red-bearded carp in the pool. The gray hair on the tips of its ears was trembling slightly, and Lu Xuan could see the joy in its heart without focusing on it. Chapter 80 Bronze Bone Bamboo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the corner of the spiritual field, Lu Xuan picked the diseased spiritual plants that were almost recovered one by one and put them into the storage bag. There are 12 first-grade diseased spiritual plants, and there are also 4 second-grade spiritual plants acquired several times, which are still some time away from maturity, since there was no white light group reward, and the spiritual plants themselves were seriously damaged. Lu Xuan did not think about improving their quality, as long as they were almost mature. There were 11 first-grade blood jade ginseng in the storage bag, so Lu Xuan took the cloud-stepping lynx to Baikayatang. In Baikayatang, when Lu Xuan appeared, a hint of joy appeared on Guanxi's face. Boy Lu, what other spiritual plants have matured? Part of the diseased spiritual plants purchased last time have been cured. In addition, more than 10 blood jade ginseng plants purchased from the hall half a year ago have matured, so I came here to deal with them. Of course, the main thing is to see your old man. Lu Xuan smiled and took the spiritual tea from a medicine boy and said thank you. It's fake to think about me, but it's true to think about the spiritual stone in my hand. Come on. Lu Xuan first took out the 12 healed diseased spiritual plants and placed them on the counter. Who is in charge of these spiritual plants? They evaluate the quality one by one. They are basically inferior to ordinary quality. The price is a little lower than the normal first-grade spiritual plants. Lu Xuan got nearly 200 spiritual stones in exchange. There are also 11 blood jade ginseng plants. Lu Xuan brushed his right hand, and 11 blood jade ginseng appeared on the counter. Each one was exquisite and clear, like blood red jade, exuding a rich and pure aura. This is. The thin old man had taken over Lingji for who knows how many years. He could tell at a glance that the quality of these blood jade ginseng was extraordinary. He held it carefully in his hand and looked at it carefully. High quality is rare. Many spiritual planters have not even cultivated blood jade ginseng of this quality. Good quality, not bad. Is there another one of perfect quality? Manager he couldn't help but look up at Lu Xuan, who was sitting lazily enjoying tea. He really couldn't imagine that this young man sitting in front of him could cultivate a perfect quality first-grade spiritual plant, although Lu Xuan had already sent several perfect quality non-grade spiritual fireflies before. growing a first-grade perfect quality spiritual plant would be much more difficult. He gathered his thoughts and sorted out the statistics of the blood jade ginseng on the counter. 11 blood jade ginseng strains, 6 of which are of good quality, 4 of which are of superior quality, and 1 of which is of perfect quality. 25 spiritual stones for each plant of good quality, 27 for the best, and 30 for the perfect. What do you think? Okay, you can make the decision. Lu Xuan waved his hand, indicating that it was entirely up to the old man to make the decision. A total of 288 spiritual stones, you boy, keep them. Guanshi he quickly figured it out and handed all the spirit stones to Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan smiled and took a small pile of spiritual stones and put them into his storage bag. In addition to the more than 200 spiritual stones brought by the 12 first-grade diseased spiritual plants, his net worth has exceeded 800 spiritual stones. Among casual cultivators, he is considered to be wealthy. I never saw before that your boy has such a unique talent in cultivating spiritual plants, and he is actually able to cultivate first-class spiritual plants of perfect quality. It's no wonder that you exchanged the spiritual seed condensation method from the eldest lady 2 days ago. It seems that you are quite ambitious. Guanshi teased. There is no ambition. He is just an ordinary spiritual planter who cultivates spiritual plants day and night. Lu Xuan chuckled. The only thing that can be called ambitious is to cultivate more and better spiritual plants. Alas, you gave up your practice at such a young age. Instead of competing with others for opportunities, you focused on spiritual cultivation. I don't know whether I should judge whether you are pure or single-minded. The thin old man sighed. However, with your ability to cultivate spiritual plants, even if your cultivation level is ordinary, you will be favored by many forces and become a favorite in their eyes. The two chatted for a while. Last time I returned to the hall with the eldest lady, she told me that if there are any good spiritual seeds or spiritual plant seedlings, you will be included in the priority range, and you will be at the same level as the spiritual planters directly trained in the hall. Manager, he suddenly said to Lu Xuan. Lu Xuan nodded to express his understanding. The spiritual planters under the free cooperation model would definitely not have as much right to choose seeds as the Baikatang spiritual planters. If there are good spiritual seeds, the spiritual plant seedlings will be planted in the Baikatang medicinal garden first. Sold to free cooperative spiritual planters at low prices, according to what the old man said, although the cooperation model between himself and Baikatang remains unchanged, he can choose spiritual seeds, but the spiritual plant seedlings have greater rights. Mr. He, do you have anything to recommend? I have several first-grade spiritual species in my hand, which are of high quality. You can choose freely according to your needs. In addition, there happen to be a few second-grade spiritual plant seedlings called copper-bone bamboo. What do you think? Lu Xuan lowered his head and pondered. He didn't have much demand for first-grade spiritual plants at the moment. There were more than 100 low-grade spiritual plants such as fireflies and blood jade ginseng. He wanted to try growing them himself, and there wasn't much left in the spiritual field. He decided to focus on essence rather than weight. Then please trouble Mr. He and help me get those second-grade copper-bone bamboos. After a while, the old man took out 5 small purple-red bamboos from inside. The surface of the small bamboos had a metallic luster, and the joints were protruding and dark golden in color. This is the second-grade copper-bone bamboo. It is the best material for refining magic weapons, especially flying swords. After being ground into powder, it can also be added to some special elixirs. Manager, he introduced. If you buy copperbone bamboo seedlings elsewhere, you will need about 40 or 50 spiritual stones. If you have a cooperative relationship with the hall, you can take away 35 spiritual stones for each plant. Okay, I want all 5. At this moment, Lu Xuan, who was wealthy, said proudly. He handed 175 spirit stones to Guanshi He and took over the 5 second-grade copperbone bamboo seedlings. Baikatang was not very far from the house, so moving there would have little impact on the vitality of the copperbone bamboo seedlings. In addition, the 3rd-grade raw bag was more eye-catching, so Lu Xuan directly put it in the bag, said goodbye to the old man, and got up to go home. Wang family. Father, according to the news from the new secret realm, the family monks have begun to contact the core area of the secret realm, but the restrictions inside are too strong and the progress is quite slow. Also, there is an extremely difficult evil spirit appearing in the secret realm. It can put on the skin of a dead monk and disguise it as no different from ordinary monks, causing many unnecessary casualties. The handsome young man Wang Chongan bowed his head and reported to the head of the Wang family. It seems that it is difficult for the family to have exclusive access to the secret realm. You spread the news and invite other family forces in Fang City to participate, so that they can work together to break the restrictions on the secret realm and get a share of the pie. As for those evil spirits, aren't your two spiritual beasts raised by the same sect the best at discovering and pursuing evil spirits? You invite them to explore the secret realm together and clean up those evil spirits along the way. Yes. Wang Chongan responded respectfully.